I'm Anushka, PMM at SigNoz. And today I'm here with Vikrant, and we are seeing him again this week. So we are talking about cost control today. And this is something I know our community has been asking for a while. Other products in the industry also have this feature. With this, I will request Vikrant to give a short introduction of himself, maybe again.
Yeah, thanks a lot for the introduction, Anushka. Welcome everyone to the launch week. I am Vikrant. I work as a platform engineer at SigNoz. So these launch weeks are pretty exciting for me as well. This is the time we connect with the users. This is the time we connect with the audience who has been actually looking out for amazing features that we are building. And all of this just makes it feel more empowering that we are able to help the users in a way that makes their lives easier. They're able to do things that they always wanted to do. And this particular feature has been in our request since very long. So we were really excited to build this out. We are really excited to deliver on our promise of democratizing observability for anyone and everyone around there. And since we all know, cost becomes a very crucial factor in deciding the observability backend as well. So we wanted people to have as much as transparency and visibility into their cost metrics as well.
Whenever we think about observability, we always think about the billing pane. I think it just goes hand in hand. So I would like to jump into the feature directly. If you can demo the feature, because I have so many questions of how we are actually calculating, how will it help the end user?
So this is the exciting part. Just share my screen. Right. So this is our landing page. Whenever some user visits their home page, in the site nav, they'll be able to see a new feature called Cost Meter. It's currently in its beta release, but it'll be marked stable very soon as well. So once you go to the Cost Meter section, you have a pretty neat landing page. This landing page gives you a brief and a nice overall picture of your cost metering of your entire platform. You starting with the major part of the total section. The total section gives you idea about what are the total size of log records ingested, what are the total size of spans ingested, and not last but not the least, what are the total metric data points ingested. Now, why specifically these three items? These are the three major contributors to anybody's cloud bill. So if you are a SaaS customer, if you are a SaaS user, these are the three major metrics you'll be generally interested in. So moving on to the next section, we have each section divided into by each telemetry signal. You have logs, you have traces, and you have metrics. Each one of them provides you a side-by-side comparison of the count of log records ingested versus the size of log records ingested. So if you just pick this time here, okay, I know at 24th August at 9:30 p.m. there was 46.3K logs ingested. And at the same particular time, these 43K logs contributed to 55 MB of the in size of the log records. So you can have a nice comparison here. These charts are pretty dynamic. You can adjust your time range according to the time that interests you the most. And you can play around with this time range here, left and right. You can even scroll, drag and drop to the time range of your interest, and your graphs update accordingly. There's one key thing that I want to highlight here that, okay, the very first thing that everybody would generally do is I'll go to my billing page and I'll start comparing my actual billing data with this data.
It's very tempting to do that to avoid the bill shocks at the end.
Correct. So you should definitely do it. Just some things to keep in mind is that your billing page works in UTC time zone. So if you see a billing of, we have mentioned it here upfront as well. If you want to see a billing of 1st Jan, so to select the 1st Jan, the entire billing of that range, you need to select this full time range. So if you are in your particular time zone, since I am in IST time zone right now, so I'll need to select the date and time accordingly. So for IST, it's UTC plus 5:30. So 1st Jan 00 becomes 1st Jan 5:30 for me. And the 1st Jan 23:59 becomes 5:29 or 2nd Jan for me.
Right.
So if you match these dates as is, you'll see the exact number to number match from your meter module to your billing section. And another upfront call out that I want to do is that all of the data post 22nd August, you can take it as 00 UTC itself, will be valid. Before this, we were doing some beta releases, we were doing some data collection to make sure that the data is exactly accurate for to the point for all the users. So please make sure you select date ranges after 22nd August. And yeah, that's about the landing page. You get a nice overall picture and you get the.
Do I need to make any other setup? Do I need to make any changes if I'm an existing customer?
No, you don't need to make any changes. This data has already been started filling for all our cloud customers as well. And you can just easily navigate to your cost meter section and you can just check the landing page and your data should already be there.
That's wonderful. Yeah.
So now the next thing comes is the next very natural and obvious thing comes is okay. Now I know that this 2.3 GB is ingested. This is the size of logs that have been ingested in this particular time range. The next obvious question is tell me which service, tell me which environment. Let me just slice and dice my data according to how I want.
Mhm.
So for that, we'll move to the Explorer section.
Okay.
So before we start on this section, I'd like to point out that the data that we are generating and exposing to our users, they're aggregated over 1 hour periods. So for every 1 hour, whatever the size of logs that were collected during that hour, what were the metric data samples, the number of data samples that were collected during that hour, will be aggregated in just one single point and that will be exposed to the users so that we don't overwhelm you and you don't get overwhelmed with a lot of data points to work around with. So it's aggregated over 1 hour. So make sure you select your time ranges accordingly as well. So enough of chit chat. I'll move to the demo. So also, to make the quality of life easier for our users, we have exposed this entire meter data in just 5 easy to use metrics. Since everybody is aware about how metrics work, what kind of aggregations work on metrics, what kind of operators you can use on metrics, things become pretty straightforward to expose this meter data in the form of same metrics query aggregation. So that you can use your existing knowledge of metrics, play around with metrics, and then use the same knowledge to your meter segment. We have very easy metrics. You can see you have your SigNoz.meter.log.size, you have SigNoz meter data point.size. So these are the metric names that we have generated, and these are namespaced with your SigNoz.meter namespace. Now let's say I'm interested in SigNoz meter log.size. Let me just see the overall data. So now I don't want to see the rate of increase of data. So since you're already familiar with rate operators and increase operators, I'm not interested with how much rate my data is increasing. I'm actually interested in the overall value. So
True.
if you see here, okay, now I know, okay, this number seems very huge. Let's make it a little readable. This looks better. So now I know that at this point of time, there were 60 MB of logs that were ingested. Now tell me who ingested how much. Let's say Anushka tells me that she's interested in breaking down it by service. Let's break it down by service. And voila, you have all the breakdowns with each service name being present. You can see how much data was being ingested by Kafka service, how much was being ingested by your card service. A lot of people might already be familiar with these names: recommendation service, card service. This is a very popular hotel demo application running here itself. You have a currency service, you have a demo app, whatever, whichever service that you're interested in, you have the breakdown by each service. And you have a very powerful quick filter section here as well. Let's say I'm just interested in ad service. Just let me know how much data was being ingested by ad service. And you can play around with these filters. So service name is the first was the most asked slicing and dicing parameter by our users as well. And the next I like to show is rather
So
than
before you
this.
move from here, I would really like to appreciate how the data is presented here. Even if I just land on this page, I don't think I have to do anything much to get an idea if my system is just working fine and I don't have to worry about what is scaling without my knowledge. It's super clear, super crisp. Great work on that.
Thank you. And also, since you mentioned that you just want to visit here and without doing much effort, you want this entire view, even to make your life more easier, we have saved views here. Let's say you want to save this view by, let's say, breakdown by service name,
Mhm.
log size. You can just save this view. And if you go to the view stack, you should be able to see your view being present here. Now, the next time you come, just select this view and you'll have your view ready for you by default. So you don't have to even worry about writing the query and playing around with it. So let's move to the next one. Next one is pretty interesting. So let's say I'm not interested by service name. Let's say I'm interested by deployment environment. Let's say I want to know what environment is sending what kind of logs. how much of the logs. Let's say I'm running three environments. I'm running staging, I'm running UAT, and I'm running production.
Yes.
Let's say I'm ingesting all of that data into a single SigNoz instance. Now, I want to know how much of the data is being contributed by my staging and my UAT environments. I would generally wouldn't want to bloat my platform with my staging data or with my UAT data. I would want to know, okay, I don't want to ingest debug logs. I don't want to ingest warning logs for my staging and UAT. Probably I would want to do error and warns for production, but not for UAT. So let me know how much of the data is being ingested by certain environments. Let's say I want to know how much of log size is being contributed by my hot rod environment. Okay, so apparently hot rod is not sending any more data. Let's say I'm interested in how much data is being sent by Kafka environment, the messaging queue in Kafka. So you can get your breakdown by deployment environment as well, service name as well. And there's one more that's particularly interesting to me is you have the SigNoz workspace key ID. So let's say you have a concept of ingestion keys in your system. You can use ingestion keys to ingest data to a SigNoz cloud platform. Let's say you have a use case in your company or in your team that you distribute ingestion keys per team to keep a track of their quotas. Let's say, Anushka, you are running a growth team. Let's say we are ingesting your telemetry data as well. And let's say I'm running a platform team. And you and me, we both have different keys for our ingestion to a SigNoz platform.
Right.
Now, let's say I want to put some rate limits into the picture so that platform team only has a monthly quota of 200 GBs. And let's say growth team has a monthly quota of 300 GBs.
Correct.
Now, once I've distributed these ingestion keys, and we also have an ingest guard feature which kicks in the rate limiting, I'll be particularly interested in, okay, I have a monthly quota of 200 GBs. I want to know how much I've already used it up. So rather than doing this, let's remove this filter. Let's see this particular ingestion key. Let's say this was a growth key. So you already know how much of the quota of your budget you have already used. Let's not slice this by this. Let's just add this. So you know you are using 60 MBs, 58 MBs, or 50 MBs on an average. This is the data that is being generated across your key. So you'll have a pretty good understanding of when are you going to exhaust your limit. Do you need to optimize your sending, your observability sends? Do you need to optimize your instrumentations? And you can take actions accordingly based on your monthly budgets, based on quotas that have been defined for you by your organization, and just to basically see how much data is being sent against an ingestion key. We also have host.name here as well. You can see particular metric, how much metrics, how much logs have been generated by host. The similar fund of slicing and dicing applies here as well.
So if I know that, I'm crossing my threshold, I want to take care of it. Was there any way to take care of it until now, until we didn't have this feature?
No, so basically things were more reliant on the fact that the billing data that we were exposing, that was exposed. If you go to the billing page, you can see the billing data. So that was being exposed every 24 hours. So that was one of the factors that was being utilized to know, okay, my data, I have generated 200 GB of logs in a single day. So probably I need to optimize it a little more. People were approximating it based on the fact that I'll be able to find the count of log. So on an average, if my log contributes to 4 KB or 3 KB per log line, I'd estimate the approximate size and take next actions accordingly. Or we would very proactively tell users that we see an increase in their ingestion, so probably things might go wrong, things might be going crazy. So that was one other way. But now all of the people have a very self-serve, very transparent way of dealing with their ingest.
True. So can I say like this that initially cost control in SigNoz was quite reactive because they have to wait until the data is shown to them, and also of course these wonderful visualizations were missing, right? But now this feature makes it a more of a proactive effort in which if they have a clear goal about how they want to allocate their budget in different keys or within the organization, they can actually work towards it rather than wait for the outcome and then work backwards.
Exactly. So we always generally want observability systems to be proactive rather than reactive.
Yes.
So this is first step towards making it more proactive. I'm really excited about the second next upcoming steps of it as well. The way you mentioned, right? You want to set some quotas, you want to set some budgets,
Right.
and you want to get alerted or you want to get notified proactively. So very, very soon we're going to introduce alerting as well on on top of these meter metrics as well. So that you can get alerted in advance that I've exceeded my daily quotas, I've exceeded my monthly quotas. And setting this up sets a base for all your prediction analysis as well. Since we are offering this data for a one year period of retention, you can run a lot of analysis, let's say on an average or on a percentage scale, how much is my observability spend increasing over the last 1 year or over the last 6 months? Or
Right.
probably, let's say you want to have quarterly quotas, because since a lot of companies and it's a general standard procedure to do quarterly plannings in
Yes.
the teams, right? And you allocate budgets quarterly as well. So you can have quarterly budgets, you can have quarterly alarms as well. That lets you know that you are probably nearing 70-80% of your quarterly spend, and it's not even a month yet. So it gets all haywire that you go and fix it and you go and improve your observability spends. So
That's a
that
beautiful irony, right? Like observability in itself is, something that should be proactive. But when it comes to cost of maintaining observability platforms, it is always the opposite. It is always reactive. So,
observability is good, but having better telemetry, having more fine grained yet meaningful telemetry is what we aim at. Having a lot of bunch of telemetry is again finding a needle in a haystack, right? We wouldn't want anybody to dive into a haystack just to find a production incident. So there's one approach towards it, and since now we have set up the base for our cost meter, our very next obvious steps would be to help users how to optimize these with general recommendations from what we see that they are ingesting in their platform. We'll tell different kinds of sampling techniques probably, and guide users on how can you optimize your spend, how can you make your observability more meaningful, how can you instrument things better. So
right.
this whole is just a foundation stone for what's very exciting coming next. So please do expect alertings on top of it very soon. I'll say probably in a couple of weeks. So once alerts are set up, it solves the problem of being proactive about it. And then very soon after that, expect some suggestions, recommendations, some optimize cost optimization techniques as well.
Right. That's wonderful. I would just like to have a candid chat on how it differs from our competitors because I know that we take pride in price transparency, right? So how does it work well? Because I know that other companies and our competitors do offer this feature, but it still doesn't work. It's still the prediction part is not that easy. So can you touch upon that a bit?
Yeah, sure. So what makes it more powerful, what makes it what it is right now is, since our pricing model is based on usage based, so you pay for what you use, right? So let's say you have ingested 10 GBs of data, so you pay for 10 GBs of data. It's not that there's no hidden surprises to it. Like I'm not, we're not telling you that you've ingested 10 GB, but I made some other calculation and made it 15 GB somehow, and I'm charging you for 15 GB, or I'm charging you for something that's happening on your side of things. So having this usage-based pricing makes it very easy via this cost meter module to make predictions of what's coming next. And that's the one of the reason that we started with an 1 hour of 1 year of retention, so that you can see how your data, how your observability spend, or how your telemetry ingest across a particular service or across a particular environment is increasing month by month or day by day or probably quarter by quarter. So
Right.
having such kind of historical data helps you predict your future spend or the next monthly spend very well. Since there are no hidden surprises, everything is based on usage, everything is based on what you ingest. These graphs hold a very nice source of truth for what's about to come next. So you don't have to worry about, because it becomes very tricky that I'm telling you that you're going to be charged on X, but let's say I have a hidden parameter that's some double derivative of X. So it's X plus double derivative of X. So double derivative of X becomes very vague. So since we're not into that field, since it's very transparent with X, you can predict what's going to come next.
Yes, that is the best part. But Vikrant, I have one question, right? So since I work in growth, we are always looking at data, right? And I understand that once you know that a certain data is available, it's very tempting to immediately go check it and try to make sense out of it. But I know that it takes a certain time, even to make the data valuable, right? So for a new customer who is just getting started with our platform, would you recommend them, a certain period of time that they should wait, or any other recommendations?
Right. So for data being available, there's generally no cooling period. But if you actually, let's say you want to start onboarding to the platform. So you start onboarding in steps. You onboard a particular service, you onboard a particular environment, and then you see what kind of data you're sending per service. And it takes a certain amount of time to reach a stable state with respect to each service or with respect to each environment. So once you reach that stable state, that's when this data will start making most sense, because then you know that okay, this is my baseline, everything lies on this baseline. Now if anything crazy goes above the baseline, you want to be alerted on top of it.
True.
While you're in the process of setting things up, your baseline is not very well defined, right? So
Yeah.
once your baseline, it's very simple to very similar to the ECG, I'll say, dimension. So once they establish a baseline, they'll tell you that now something is wrong. Until unless your heartbeat keeps going up and down, they are also not able to establish that baseline, right? So once you
Actually.
establish your baseline, that's when you start setting up alarms that, okay, I know this is what's supposed to be, but this is what went wrong. So you take corrective actions, you get alerted on top of it. So once you are comfortable that you have onboarded your setup properly and it's a stable setup, that's when you should visit this meter page and start making alerts on top of it.
I know you already said that LS is coming in coming few weeks, but can you please tell us, what to expect from that?
Right. So you can expect some alerts of the shape, right? Like let's say alert me if my daily usage crosses 10 GB for this particular service.
Mhm.
Let's say this particular service has 10 GB of quota. So please alert me when the usage of the service goes above 10 GB on a particular day. Now that becomes very interesting because to the start of day might not be the start of the day for what it is for me. So it
True.
becomes very tricky that I alert you based on what was your start of day.
Yeah.
And I alert you what was your start of month, probably, what was your start of quarter. And since everybody has a different billing cycle, everybody has a different subscription cycle. So it becomes tricky that, okay, I want to alert you based on your subscription cycle or based on your billing cycle.
Got
So having those kind of things put in place, it's a little tricky, but we're gonna roll out it very soon.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, actually, but
And
when you mentioned this to me, I immediately thought of our current team, right? Like, so many of us are here in India, then we have folks in US. What if I've set up a dashboard and my peer in the US wants to click on the dashboard? So I understand the complexity that is going behind it, but super excited to see that feature coming up soon.
right. Also, one more interesting thing about it, right now, let's say you have some ingestion keys in place, you have put some rate limiting in place. It becomes very tricky to know when was the rate limit being hit. So with these alerts being present, you'll be able to set up alerts of ingestion limits being breached, your quotas being expired. So I'm pretty excited about the alerting part of it as well.
Great, great, great. So I would request everyone to stay tuned. And of course, we will be updating the same document to add more details once the alert feature goes live. And that's it, Vikrant. Thank you so much. This is also the day 5, and we conclude our launch week 5. And yes, I'm already excited for our next quarter's launch week.
Thank you, Nishad. Thank you, everyone, for joining our launches.
Thank you, Vikrant.